Hi, this is Shelley Craft, and welcome to SNN Live. We're coming to you live from the Cambridge House Conference 2012, right here in lovely Vancouver, BC. Jeb Handwerger is standing right next to me from the Gold Stock Trades newsletter, speaker, newsletter writer, and today we are going to hone in on
nuclear energy.
There you go, Jeb Handwerger, ladies and gentlemen. Jeb, nuclear energy. Is it only uranium? Talk to me.
Well, since Fukushima, many of the uranium stocks, due to the earthquake and the tsunami and this once-in-a-millennium event, many of the uranium stocks were beaten down to very undervalued and bargain basement prices. And we're beginning to see a reversal in 2012 of the uranium miners, where they have now, some of them have almost doubled in 2012. And investors are realizing that the supply-demand on uranium is that the supply-demand crisis. There may be a crisis in the uranium, and what we've seen recently in Australia, Energy Resources. In the Ranger deposit, they've had flooding. This is similar to what we saw with the Cigar Lake flooding in 2006 when uranium soared up to close to $140. So we may be seeing a beginning of the spark of a rally in the prices of uranium once again.
It stands to reason. Let's focus on something very important. Where is China going to get all of the electricity it needs to grow?
And they're building uranium. They're building nuclear reactors throughout China. China has said and is on the record that they have no other option, that they must go forward with nuclear energy. And you look at the numbers. The new age reactors, AP1000 modern stage 3 the new next generation reactors, they're not the same reactors as they were in the 1970s. They're not the same fossil reactors. Okay, we're not living in the 1970s anymore. These new age reactors are portable, they're inexpensive, they're modular. You can add to them. You can scale up at a reasonable cost, and this is why the Chinese are adopting these new reactors, the next generation reactors.
Now, did this have any impact on their change from exporting rare earth elements to their change of not exporting rare earth elements? I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure some of these things out. What do you think?
Well, the rare earths is a different story with China. China is using the rare earths to try to bring companies to build factories in China, and what happens when they build the factories in China is, unfortunately, the intellectual property from some of these companies are sacrificed for that move into China. So many of these companies are refusing to go into China to build their factories, and they're refusing to buy, and they're actually looking to invest in these deposits in the West. We saw a Korean consortium enter the Frontier Rare Earths in South Africa. We saw Toyota, the Japanese car manufacturer, enter the Matamek in Quebec. So the industrial end users are moving away from building their factories in China, and they're looking for a secure supply in the West.
So what effect, if any? So you're saying that rare earth elements is one subject, the other subject is uranium. There is uranium in China, correct?
No, right now, most of their uranium is imported. That's why they have to. They recently went to make a deal in Africa with the extract in Kalahari. We expect that China is going to also look at other deposits outside of China. Recently, what we had another major catalyst in the uranium space was Rio Tinto. Rio Tinto is one of the biggest mining giants Okay, and they haven't made a deal since the credit crisis in 2008, a major deal. Well, in 2011, they made their first major deal since the credit crisis. They bought Hathor Exploration in Athabasca. So the question is, this is Rio Tinto. This is the leading mining giant in the world. Okay, they're coming in and they're buying uranium miners. Why are they buying uranium miners? The first move that they've made since the credit crisis? Because they see that they're bargain basement prices right now. They see that there's undervaluation. And if we've noticed since that Hathor deal, we've had some of these uranium stocks, we've had a double.
I understand why. Now, here's the question. If China, who is completely under-electrified, so to speak, and can't grow without electricity, and this is probably, I'm sure in the closed-door meetings that they have in the Communist Party in China, they're talking about, we need more electricity, correct? Where are they going to get it from? Uranium. Where are they going to use their uranium? In nuclear reactors. They could build all the nuclear reactors they want. You mean to tell me there isn't uranium in the entire country of China?
I have not. I don't know. That's a good question. I have not seen that. I mean, that's why. Why are they going into Africa? Why are they going into why did the Hanlong go into the Chinese investment banks going into Africa? I think uranium's one area where they are importing a lot of it. Now another thing is United States. Let's talk about United States with nuclear. United States has 25% of their power comes from nuclear energy. Okay, over 90% of that uranium that's used in U.S. reactors is imported. Only less than 10% comes from domestic production. And that's about to change soon, too, because the United States was relying on secondary sources of supply. They were relying on missiles that were used for make nuclear bombs that were transferred to uranium. It's called the megatons to megawatts program with the Russians. Well, that's about to end in 2013. And when these secondary sources of supply run out, where are they going to have to look? Mother Earth. Mother Earth in the United States.
And Canada, I'm sure.
And Canada, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is so important. This is historical in nature. This is the growth of the world's power. Yeah, there's a blip every now and then, such as what happened in Japan. But nuclear uranium, it ain't going away.
Right. And people have to remember that the Fukushima disaster, that was a natural disaster. That was a once in a millennium. That was off the record earthquake and off the record tsunami. And still, what people don't understand, not one person's been killed from the Fukushima. Not one. What about the Deepwater Horizon in the Gulf of Mexico, where 17 workers were killed and caused one of the worst oil spills in the Gulf of Mexico in history? What about the Massey Energy, where 30 some odd coal miners were killed? Not one was killed during Fukushima, yet the world is reacting that nuclear is the worst thing in not one person was killed.
Well, it drove the price of the uranium stocks to the...
Well, and you know what? It drove the price down, and there was a lot of people that picked up those prices at bargain basement prices.
So would you have information on your website about all of this?
Yes, I cover the uranium sector. I know it's not a sector that is really covered much. There's not a lot of institutional research, and I follow the uranium sector very closely because I believe that's where the future of energy is going.
Let me have the website.
goldstocktrades.com.
Should be uraniumstocktrades.com. When are you gonna? I'll sell that to you cheap.
Okay. Thanks, Shelley.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jeb Handwerger, speaker, newsletter writer. As a matter of fact, he wrote for this coming issue of the Micro Cap Review. I'd like you to know that. So again, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Shelley. It's always great to be here
with you.
Good
to have you.